On Friday, May 1st, the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications held a presentation ceremony at the Hilton Trinidad and Conference Center where 69 new foreign used car dealers were presented with their certificates to trade within the industry. It was the first time since 2012 that new dealers were formally entered into the market, making it a significant milestone for those involved. On hand to deliver the event's opening remarks was Mr. Norris Herbert, Permanent Secretary AG in the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications. Mr. Herbert welcomed the new inductees and touched on the importance of the relationship between the MTIIC and members of the foreign used car industry as the government continues its thrust towards creating economic diversity in Trinidad and Tobago.
As you know, a significant portion of the work of the ministry focuses on stimulating business, trade and investment. And this mandate requires us to create and provide a facilitatory environment for businesses to grow, develop and flourish. Since the industry evolved in the 1990s or so, the ministry has always been playing a pivotal role towards the success of the industry. The relationship was manifested with the establishment of the TLU, the Trade Licensing Unit, which is a critical frontline arm of the ministry. And they issue dealership certificates, import permits to foreign used car dealers. This relationship has been in effect since then and is governed by a very old ordinance which dates back to, say, 1958 and is supported by what we term the import negative list, and essentially that regulates how imports are done. Therefore, the ministry and the stakeholders in the foreign used car industry have shared this long-standing cordial relationship which we are here to continue to expand. Due to the success of the industry over the years and the transition from the days when completely knocked down vehicles were imported and welded together, the level from those days to now, the level of enthusiasm has increased and been demonstrated that potential investors are willing and ready to enter the industry to ensure that it grows immensely. So today's session is being convened due to an overwhelming response by a number of persons wishing to invest, and we have had such representation over the years. In light of such representation and our response to such, we decided to expand the industry and introduce this wave.
In her PowerPoint presentation, Mrs. Donna Marshall Elias, Chief Trade Officer in the MTIIC, gave a comprehensive look at the new policies put in place for the used car industry, covering everything from initial registration to maintaining the all-important quota.
In keeping with the government's vision to diversify the economy from its dependence on the energy sector, the ministry is fully committed to the creation of opportunities for entrepreneurship. There are almost 400 registered foreign used car dealers in Trinidad and Tobago. However, only 200 of these are currently active. Today, 69 new foreign used car dealers will be added to the industry. New dealerships are expected to create additional jobs, increase downstream industries by the creation of air-conditioned services, use and spare car parts, graphics, and all the other additional downstream industries that would spin off of the foreign used car industry. And they would also generate government's revenue. The term foreign used car in this policy refers to sedans, wagons, sports utility vehicles, SUVs, and other type of passenger vehicles for transport of persons. And may I repeat, transport of persons and not cargo vehicles. It does not include buses, panel vans, trucks, motorcycles, or any other type of vehicles. Certificate of incorporation, inclusive of notice of directors and notice of address or certificate of registration in the case of a sole trader. Value added tax VAT registration certificate, Board of Inland Revenue, the BIR certificate, National Insurance Board, your NIB registration certificate, the Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago, FIU registration certificate. Your total allocation, the total allocation is 15,000 cars, including of 1,500 compressed natural gas CNG cars. The quota allocation for each new dealer is 15 cars per annum. And I know that many of you would have been very interested to know what is your allocation for the year. Import licenses must be granted may be granted in any quantity up to, but not exceeding the dealer's annual quota allocation.
Several inductees took to the stand to thank the MTIIC and spoke of their pride in finally becoming registered dealers.
I must first take this opportunity to applaud the government of Trinidad and Tobago for giving the ordinary man an opportunity to develop his or her entrepreneurial spirit and thereby working towards becoming self-reliant. It is important also that we express special thanks to the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications for providing us with that avenue whereby we can play an integral part in the diversification of the economy. For those of us who will be operating out of Tobago, we are also grateful that the central government has included Tobago in this registration and certification exercise. We can now create legitimate businesses that will contribute to job creation and income generation, a shift away from dependence on government jobs and government contracts. Therefore, on behalf of the new certified foreign use car dealers, it is my pleasure to express our sincere gratitude and deep sense of appreciation to the Minister of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications.
I stand before you all here in high spirits, knowing that the Honourable Minister Vasant Bharath and his hard-working team at the Trade License Unit in his ministry have made entrepreneurship a reality to these additional used car dealers in Trinidad and Tobago. I believe back in 2012, 2013, we all responded to a newspaper advertisement where the Ministry of Trade invited the public to apply if they would like to become used car dealers. Together with all these new used car dealers, I stand proudly here before you here today to express our deepest and sincerest gratitude and thanks to the Honourable Minister Vasant Bharath and the most hard-working team of officers of the Trade License Unit who have worked tirelessly to ensure the dreams of us all became a reality here today.
The feature address was delivered by Senator the Honourable Vasant Bharath, Minister of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications, and Minister of the Ministry of Finance and the Economy. The Minister reiterated the importance of economic diversification for Trinidad and Tobago financial longevity and noted that the foreign used car industry would help in that role.
So, as we sit here this afternoon, I think about the foreign used car industry which emerged in the early 1990s and the advanced stage of development to which we've reached today. And I myself am sometimes astonished, but always very pleasantly surprised at the rate of progress that has been made in such a very short space of time. And if I may say so myself, without very much help or intervention from governments. And so therefore, the industry has essentially sprung up on its own. It has supported itself. It has employed people. It's created economic activity without really much support from government. Today, what you've spawned is essentially $1 billion industry that has been catalytic in terms of its creation of economic activity and job creation in the non-energy sector. Your industry currently employs approximately 10,000 people. Now that's nothing to be sneezed at. That is a significant number of people employed, but it's not just the employment that matters. It's the taxes that you pay in terms of motor vehicle taxes. It's the taxes that you pay in terms of value-added tax, import duties. It's the taxes that your employees will pay in terms of income tax. It's the taxes that you will end up eventually paying once you're profitable in terms of corporation tax. And so therefore, this is not something to be sneezed at, and it's one of the reasons why the ministry continued to fight to make this industry one that had structure around it, one that had the ability to protect the consumer, so that ultimately everyone, whether you are an employer, whether you're an employee, whether you're a purchaser, whether you're an importer, everyone understood very clearly the parameters within which they operated. There are many downstream industries, of course, that have been spawned from this sector, as Ms. Elias would have mentioned, the areas of auto detailing, repairs and inspection, trading of spare parts, graphics, and the provision of ancillary services, such as alarm systems and audio systems. To date, 140 companies have been investigated, of which 69 of you are here today because you fulfilled all of the requirements regarding physical requirements and other related issues with regard to paperwork that was listed in the guidelines for registration. So today, from today onwards, you 69 companies will be registered as new foreign used car dealers. With the introduction of these new dealers, we expect the employment effect to be in the region of about 1,000 new jobs created, and as I mentioned, in addition to motor vehicle tax and other taxes being paid. But as was also mentioned, with the successes that were recorded by the industry, of course, there were many inherent challenges along the way. And so therefore, government sought to intervene to be able to better regulate and manage the sector. As was shown earlier on, a quota system was advanced in 2007, and we still have that quota system. All we've done is we've added another 1,500 vehicles to take care of the advent of CNG vehicles, and of course the objectives of the policy was described in great detail by Mrs. Elias.
The event concluded with the distribution of certificates to the new foreign used car dealers, whose introduction will inject more life into this industry. And with the implementation of the newly revised policies and procedures, the foreign used car industry begins its expansion towards becoming an integral part of the government's push to diversify the economy.